And our next guest says the number of unaccounted for ballots in the 2020 presidential elections in the states of Arizona, Nevada, and Wisconsin exceeded President Biden's margin of victory. During an interview with Breitbart News, Hans von Spakovsky was quoted as saying this: Biden's margin of victory in Wisconsin was approximately 20,000 votes, despite the number of ballots missing or undeliverable in the state, amounting to 83,000.
So here to explain all this, senior legal fellow for the Heritage Foundation, Hans von Spakovsky himself. Thank you very much for joining us, Hans. So
Sure.
Why is this significant? Where are these ballots and why can't they produce them?
Well, remember, these are not my numbers. These are the official numbers reported by the states like Wisconsin to a federal agency, the U.S. Election Assistance Commission. And what they said was, in Wisconsin, for example, that over 6,500 ballots that they mailed out to voters were returned by the U.S. Postal Service as undeliverable. That means the Postal Service was saying, well, this person who's supposedly registered at this address, they don't actually live there. Of more concern, too, is that 76,000 ballots, they don't know what happened to them. The election officials put them in the mail to deliver to voters, and that's the last election officials heard of it. Now, look, it's very possible the voters just decided they didn't want to vote after all, even though they requested a ballot. But on the other hand, it's also possible they never got the ballot, or they might have gotten it, filled it out, and then tried to mail it back and it got lost, or maybe paid political operatives stole it out of their mailbox. The point is, we don't know, the state doesn't know what happened to those 76,000 ballots that were sent out to voters.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Nationwide, there are 14.7 million mail-in ballots that there's an unknown state.
That's right.
Okay. And President Biden won by 7 million, roughly. So that's twice as many. So what are we supposed to take from that? Because it's the ballots that are returned that they count, hopefully properly. So when they go out, and is there need to be a better process, or are you suggesting there's something illegal going on here? What do you think is going on?
Well, the problem is there's a big unknown. And what election officials should be doing and aren't doing is, after the election, contacting voters to say, look, you requested a ballot, we sent it to you, what happened? Because they need to be finding out whether, like I said, did the voter just decide didn't want to vote? On the other hand, if the voter says, hey, I got the ballot, I filled it out, I put it in the mail to send back to you, but you're saying you never got it, that would indicate a problem with the U.S. Postal Service, who is supposed to be delivering these ballots. You should not have those kind of unknowns in an election, and they need to investigate this to see what exactly happened. That's an enormous number of ballots unaccounted for.
Yeah. What if someone had requested a ballot and then chose instead to vote in person? Would there be a record of that? And is this something that
Yes.
could also happen in some other states, or have you looked at Pennsylvania and Georgia specifically?
Pennsylvania and Georgia did include their numbers, and if you requested an absentee ballot, but then you decided to go vote in person, the state actually has a record of that, and they don't include that in the data they're sending to the federal agency. But look, it wasn't just Wisconsin. Arizona, remember, Joe Biden only won by a little over 10,000 votes. Maricopa County alone reported that 110,000 ballots were returned by the Postal Service as undeliverable to the registered voters, and over 230,000 absentee or mailed ballots, they are unaccounted for. They don't know what happened to them after they sent them to the voters.
All right. Hans von Spakovsky, stay on top of it for us and let us know what else you discover. Thank you very much.
Great. Sure thing.